Some are born great. Some achieve greatness and some have greatness thrust upon them because of who their parents are. For centuries, children have gone into the same line of work as their parents. The family business is upheld as noble and heartwarming, as an act of community and tradition. But today's subject has gone above and beyond by stepping not only into the same path, Jessie, but into the very same shoes. My name is Monica Reed. I am a creative producer with a background in performing arts and an obsession with all things pop culture.
I'm Jessie. I'm an Aries, but only on my worst days.
Stunning. Today we are talking about Michael Gandolfini, Jessie. Now, if that name doesn't sound immediately familiar to our listeners, I'm sure people will catch up very quickly. Welcome to the family business and welcome to Nepobaby Michael Gandolfini. We're going to start with the source. We're going to go right back to the beginning, Jessie. We're going to talk about the parents. So in this phase, we're calling secretary to wife. Mm-hmm. This is the parents of Michael Gandolfini, Jessie. So his father, James Gandolfini, he's an actor. I'm sure you're going to be aware of the things he's acted in. But first, we're going to talk about his mother, Marcy Wadarsky. She was a film producer and she produced Wish You Were Here. But first, I want to know, Jessie, where did James and Mary meet?
Thank you so much for
Marcy,
asking.
where did James and Marcy meet? Sorry.
Keep him guessing. So Marcy met James after she was hired as his secretary in 1995. His career was growing fast. He needed all the assistance he could get. I've never heard of an actor with a secretary, but
Me neither.
go off.
Yeah, I've heard of agent. I've heard of manager. I haven't heard of secretary.
I kind of
he's
like
busy, obviously.
Yeah.
Really busy. Good
Like,
for him.
is she sitting in it like, Mr. Gandolfini will see you now? And you walk into an office and he's just acting in a boardroom?
It was the 90s. I assume so.
True. We weren't there for long, so can't confirm. She'd never heard of James before. She accepted the job, so good on her.
Love that about her.
Up and coming actor. Yeah, I'll be his secretary. He'll get lots of calls.
I just like the humbling moment where it was like, I've never heard of you or your work.
You know what, though? If I had married an actor who was incredibly famous, I'd be flexing that too. I'd be like, he wasn't when I met him, you know.
Yeah,
you don't want
true,
people
true.
thinking that you're like climbing.
Yeah, you're not like a fame clinger.
Yeah, you're married for love.
Exactly.
So, yeah, she did mention that James was an unknown when they met, and she was working for a movie company at the time as well.
Oh, she was a high flyer already then.
Yeah, she had her own stuff. Wish You Were Here, etc.
Wish You Were Here and some other stuff, maybe. After working together for a while, they started dating Jessie. James and Marcy later moved in together in the West Village, and he bought this apartment before appearing on The Sopranos. So they bought that in 1996.
Lovely.
But first, Jessie, we do need to take a moment and just mention how our listeners might know James, and that is The Sopranos, obviously. Okay, I have a clip to insert here, but I'll put that in later. So The Sopranos, it was a television show that ran from 1999 to 2007. So a pretty long run as far as television shows go. Have you seen this, Jessie?
I've seen 3 episodes of season 1.
Okay.
I know. It's not great. I'm working on it. I feel like you need a block of time.
I did it in
something
lockdown, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And whilst I hate it when people say this, it's a show that you've got to push through.
Yeah.
You got to push through the first season and then you're like addicted.
Yeah.
For sure. But yeah, I do hate it when people say that, so take that with a grain of salt. For the uninitiated, David Chase's saga follows Tony Soprano, the bearish boss of North Jersey's DeMeo crime family. Now, he is the patriarch of this crime mob and the patriarch of his own upper middle class household. And it's the show sort of like how he balances both of those things, or doesn't balance both of those things, Jessie. Yeah, ... This TV show really was, revolutionary for its time, and it changed people's concept of television, Jessie.
Definitely. So I've got a quote here. So before The Sopranos came out, TV was widely dismissed as a kind of medium for programs that didn't ask the viewer to think about anything except what was coming next. So they had like lovable characters who didn't change and had no inner life. And I think that kind of rings true if you watch anything from like, you know, the 70s, 80s, even 50s and 60s. It's all very like lighthearted, linear.
Yeah, and I think always going back to that default of what we know the characters to be, right?
I think so,
That lack of
yeah.
evolution throughout the episodes.
A lot more commercial.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
You got to make advertisers happy, Mon.
Gotta pay the bills.
Yeah. So The Sopranos is renowned for techniques that have become like commonplace in all of the TV shows today. So you've got anti-heroic or villainous central characters like Tony Soprano, serialized narrative arcs instead of just discrete episodes. So like every episode has its own, you know, story. There's always something happening. And I think this is my favorite point, the recognition that in real life there are moral gray areas and unresolved plots.
Yeah.
Not everything gets like tied up in a little bow.
Yeah. No, I like that about The Sopranos. I think throughout watching the seasons, you do see that Tony has a heart, but he's in this situation where it's like no win, you know, like he can't get out because someone will kill him. Yeah. And he can't like stop what he's doing because someone will kill him. Like it's literally like life or death for him.
I think so. And I think because of that like human sort of side to him, people were able to relate to him a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he's a terrible person. Don't get me wrong. He's terrible. But like, yeah, you do relate to him and you do feel for him, particularly when he's going, I mean, and the whole point of this show is he's going to the therapist.
Yeah.
He's talking to a psychologist about his issues, which gives him that humanizing quality as well, which I find
see the
so
other
interesting.
side. Yeah. No, I agree.
Without The Sopranos, we wouldn't have Mad Men, Breaking Bad, The Wire, Deadwood, and Game of Thrones. So pretty major shows.
That's the beginning of time for me. All those shows are
beginning of cinema.
incredible. Yeah, like all those you know, people who wrote for The Sopranos or like produced or directed have gone on to just create this like HBO monster of stuff. The writing is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and so many shows, like let alone being like inspired by or directed by the same writers and things like that, have actually like done episodes based on The Sopranos.
Yeah.
Like done themed episodes about The Sopranos. Like I find that so interesting and paying homage to that in that way is so cool.
I found this really amazing piece of research that I didn't put in the script, but the FBI was taping the home of a actual mob and they were listening in on them and they were watching The Sopranos and saying, is this show about us? Like apparently that's how similar to like real life it was for those gangs.
That reminds me of that Euphoria.
No. Is this fucking play about us? That's them.
Fucking play.
Is David Chase Maud?
You're like, hang on a tick. This seems really close to home.
Go and watch the Maud Apatow episode.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. All right. Jessie, please tell me, before we get sidetracked again, please tell me about James and Marcy's quick wedding.
Love to. So Marcy Wadowski became James Gandolfini's first wife, and that was March 99. Great year for music also. Their wedding was low-key and only had close friends and relatives.
Cute. Yeah. I like that. The reason they had to get married so quickly, Jessie, is because Marcy was pregnant with James's child.
Stop.
Scandal.
I kind of like that though. That's
I think
kind
it's
of punk.
Cute. Yeah, it's cute. And I feel like a lot of people do that. It's not rare.
It's
right?
rock and roll.
Yeah, very rock and roll. She gave birth to Michael Gandolfini, the subject of this pod, on the 10th of May in 1999, Jessie.
Taurus?
May?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Taurus.
Nice.
You're right.
Sensitive.
Jessie, tell me about how things took a turn for the worse.
So, not long after Michael's birth, James actually left the house. So that was in 2001 and never came back. So a year later, in 2002, he filed for divorce.
Yuck.
Sad, I think, also. But like divorce is 1 and 2 now, so
but
maybe they're just ahead of their
so
time.
young.
Yeah, I mean that's
baby.
I feel like, I mean, I'm not married and I have no kids, but I'm going to give my 2 cents anyway.
Of course,
you have to know things are bad before right?
Well, you got married and had a kid together.
Yeah.
So I feel like there might have been some inklings before that.
Yeah.
But there was something else going on behind the scenes here, right?
Sure. So it says here, Marcy claimed her ex-husband, James, had gone to a drug and alcohol rehab center in 98. Co-stars from The Sopranos, like Edie Falco, had tried to help him to stop his addiction. And yeah, he has admitted to being a drug abuser. So really,
That's so
really
sad.
sad and really tough to, for both sides, I guess, to be under the power of addiction, but also to be in a relationship with a new baby.
Yeah.
And have that as well.
Yeah.
Super layered. So it says here also he added that Marcy's emotional volatility and temperamental behavior worsened everything. I see a lot of myself in Marcy. I'm like, I'm a little
Emotional,
bit emotionally
volatile.
That is in my signature at work.
Temperamental.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, love that for her.
That's good. She also has a new baby.
Yeah, it's so hard to. I find it really hard not to take her side.
Yeah.
I feel like often you would never hear about a man being described as emotionally volatile. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Or only if he was like abusive, I think.
Yeah.
Ooh, trigger warning.
I think it's easier to say that women are emotional and temperamental. And if you gave me a newborn and a husband who was addicted to drugs,
And threatening to leave
I'd
you
be
and your
pretty
child.
volatile.
Yeah.
I'd have some turbulence there.
I'd be flipping some tables for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, but also, you know, like the only two people that know what goes on inside a relationship are the people in a relationship. So
Agreed.
who's to say?
Now, they did finalise their divorce in 2002,
Right.
a little while later, a year later. And Marcy got the West Village apartment, Jessie. It was worth $2 million.
So it pays to be volatile is what I'm getting.
I think so. I think she's done a good job there.
Fab.
Michael also continued to live with his mother
Yeah,
in the house.
that seems right.
Jessie, we are moving on to the next phase. This next phase we are calling loss and legacy. When Michael was a teenager, he enjoyed performing, but his father advised against acting, encouraging him instead to pursue sports or be a director. This is a quote, "They have all the power."
Yeah, what do you think he meant by that?
How telling. Well, I just think he obviously struggled in his own journey as an actor. Who hasn't?
What do you mean? I am a Gandolfini.
So easy. But I think he didn't want that for his son, right? He wanted him to live a comfortable life and he wanted him to have success and maybe an easier time than he did. He obviously struggled a lot.
Also, this is probably one of the first nepos we've done that their parents have like discouraged.
Yeah, actively discouraged.
Because I remember when we did a few others, it was like, bam, model at 7, boom, audition at 1
IMG.
month old, like cover of Vogue, you got it, baby.
I feel like there's been like enough people that have been discouraged, but
Yeah.
not actively like don't do it.
Yeah. And
So that's
I
interesting.
always kind of am really heartened when I see parents that on this show that are more realistic or kind of let their kids know that there is like life outside of the jobs their parents do.
The industry, if you
Yeah.
will. Yeah. Sadly, and in a sudden turn of events, James died of a heart attack on June 19 in 2013 whilst he was on holiday with his son in Italy.
I
Jessie.
remember that. It was everywhere.
Shocking.
Yeah. Really sad. And like rocked the world, I think.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as you know, The Sopranos had ended by then, but was still like massive in the culture.
Oh, cult following still.
Yeah.
Michael, who was 14 at the time, discovered his father, James's lifeless body on the bathroom floor of a 5-star hotel they were staying at.
At 14.
14. That's so sad.
That's really little.
Imagine not being shaped by that. Do you know what I mean? Like that is going to change your life forever.
Yeah.
Awful.
Absolutely. And I imagine having to like, you know, split his time with his parents from birth. I think that would have been really, just rocking.
Yeah.
Just so full on.
And something that should have been like an exciting time for him, like spending time with his dad, you know, in a different
Yeah.
country, Yeah, so shocking. People were obviously shaken by the passing being so sudden. What were celebrities saying at this time, Jessie?
So this is a quote from Bryan Cranston of Breaking Bad fame. I'm saddened by James Gandolfini's passing. He was a great talent and I owe him. Quite simply, without Tony Soprano, there is no Walter White.
Oh.
Which is, yeah, heartbreaking, but also like what a humbling thing to say. Obviously, Bryan Cranston is incredibly talented and that role is, so iconic.
Groundbreaking.
And the fact that he's like, I'm not paying homage, but almost like gifting all of that sort of accolade back to James.
I think it speaks to like the character work that both of those actors have done in their roles, that they are so nuanced and so complicated.
Yeah.
You know, you hate them in one episode and you love them in the next, or even in the same episode sometimes. So I think that really speaks to that.
Definitely. So I've got another one here. This is Marsha Gray. She was a co-star with James on God of Carnage, just talking about like how he worked. So she says, the cream should rise to the top, even if it means at his own expense. And he looks out for everybody around him. He's looking out on the 360 for everybody around him. And I was really impressed by that because obviously not everybody of his stature does that. And that's like, they're the people you want to work with, not even just in the industry, like whoever.
Yeah.
I'm always impressed with people that treat people at the highest level the same as people who are levels below them, levels equal to them. Like the evening out is how everyone, not to sound like a pope, but like it's how everyone should live.
Yes,
like
I think so. There should be none of this ego stuff in it.
Yeah.
And look, I think because of the way he felt about acting, which I think is obvious by the way he spoke to his son about it, I think he knew it was hard. And he knew that everybody who was there for a reason. They'd worked really hard to get there.
Yeah.
For the most part, you
and
know?
also sort of making sure that he either distributes his power or like redistributes it to people around him. Is he a bit of like a communist king?
Maybe.
I don't know. What's going on there?
Well, Jessie, sorry to leave you on such a sad note, but we are going to move on to our next phase where we talk about Michael's career. This one we are calling No Small Parts, Only Small Actors.
Ouch, that hurts me so much.
So in this phase, we are talking about his career. We're going to talk first about Down on the Shore, which was a 2011 drama starring no other than Michael Gandolfini.
Here he is.
Now, the plot of this film is about three childhood friends. They are living on the Jersey Shore and they begin to unravel, their lives begin to unravel as a secret from their past is revealed, Jessie.
Okay, sounds dramatic. I love.
So he played Kid on the Ride in this, which is giving small part.
What are you saying?
It's giving small part.
What is the background for this role? What's the motivation?
Whilst I think everyone starts somewhere, and this is humble to not have a name associated with a role. Like, I think I spoke about this when we talked about Dakota Johnson. And I was like, she has not done one role that hasn't had a credit.
Yeah.
Not Michael.
Must be nice.
Not our boy Michael.
No, yeah.
He's like, give me Kid on the Ride. Give me Boy Next Door. Give me
Absolutely.
Kid holding ice cream.
Which, if, you know, his father's passing hadn't already endeared him to me, it's endearing him to me.
We like him so far. His next film was Flower in 2015. This was a short film written by and starring Michael.
Oh.
Huge.
Okay, he's a writer?
He's arty, I think. I'm getting arty from this.
He can do it all.
The plot of this film is set in a post-apocalyptic backdrop. A young man clings to the only thing that reminds him of hope as he struggles to survive. Ooh. Ouch. That one like hit a nerve. His role was Wanderer in this. I'm assuming that's like a lead role? I don't know. What do you think?
It's a really small cast. There's like 4 people in it.
He wrote it, so surely he's writing.
He wrote it. Yeah. So I think it would have been, you know, focused to him. But also, I think with those like arty short films, it's very like fashionable to instead of have names like Eric and Lindsay, it's like
The Journeyman.
Man in a hat. Like, you know, they have like weird, it's like
Man in Rags.
Yeah, like girl at bus stop, but she's like the main girl.
She's the
quirky.
protagonist.
Yeah.
I like like that. I don't mind that at all. It is definitely giving arty. I think he cares about the art. He was in Ocean's 8. Wild.
What?
Okay,
this is a huge jump from Baby's first short film to Ocean's 8 with Rihanna.
This is massive.
Okay.
Ocean's 8, the all-women remake. So confusing that he would be
Why
in this.
are you as a man in the all-women remake?
Can we just get a gender check?
I'm off him. Sexist. Not off the back of International Women's Day, you don't.
No,
Where's
not on my
Maud
day.
Apatow? Oh, whatever. Okay.
Sorry. So, yeah, all-female crew cast, an impossible heist in New York City at the Met. Oh my God, the Met Gala.
Come on. I put it in there special for you.
I mean, I don't think he's been in attendance at the Met Gala, Jessie. Hate to tell you. But in this role, he played busboy.
Look, that's nice work if you can get it, okay?
And I'm happy for him.
First name bus, last name boy.
I think it's nice that we've
Fine.
gone over these smaller roles. I think it's really nice. It's humbling.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good.
I would die to be a busboy in Ocean's 8.
I'm sure he
So
got paid
cool.
heaps.
Yeah.
Did he have a
But
line,
also,
do we think?
that credit is incredible.
Yeah.
I think if you speak, you're credited.
Great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So go off.
Your fee jumps from like what, $5,000 to about 20.
He's a busboy with opinions, Mon. Okay? He has thoughts
He's
and
got
feelings.
backstory.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving on to the next phase, Jessie, in a phase that we are calling the family business. Now, this phase, we are talking about the famous role that he took on, Jessie.
Okay, go on.
For those of you at home that aren't aware, Michael Gandolfini took over the role of Tony Soprano from his father, James Gandolfini. So this was in a movie remake of The Sopranos called The Many Saints of Newark. Oh, sorry, The Saints of Newark.
The
Isn't
Many
it?
Saints of Newark.
It was The Many.
Yeah.
The Many Saints of Newark. Now, I have a short interview to play that I'll insert later. And we do have a trailer as well that we can play around with the placement of. In an unprecedented turn of events, Michael ended up reprising his father's famous role in 2021 in a prequel of the film The Many Saints of Newark as well, Jessie. Now, Michael earned enormous praise as a young Tony Soprano, particularly from his family, Jessie.
Yeah, so his stepmother, so obviously James remarried. This is Deborah Lynn. She said, it was almost surreal to see Michael in the trailer. I know it took a lot of courage for him to take this role. It was very emotional. Oh my God, I'm like getting sad. It's just so, such a massive undertaking, I think, to reprise a role that your dad
So famous.
made so famous, but also having had your father pass away. Just
Have you seen the show, Jessie?
I've not seen it.
I did watch it.
It's the prequel, isn't it? Like it's young.
It's before, so it's young Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was really beautifully done.
Right.
He's so, and I don't know whether this is him as an actor or a choice that he has made. He's so softly spoken and so gentle giant, and it's like heartbreaking to watch because it's like you see this like boy turn to a man in a very short amount of time, and the influence of his mother, who, if you haven't watched the show, is a very toxic person in it, and a lot of his therapy, Tony Soprano in the show, is about the mother and how affected he is by her actions and the way that she speaks to him. So it's really interesting to see the evolution of that before The Sopranos started. So I think he does a really beautiful job, and I actually really loved this movie.
How did it stack up? Because I know you're a Sopranos fan. How did it stack up for you against the series?
Honestly, like I believed it. I believed that that could be the, trajectory of that character. But it's so different.
Yeah.
It's such a different time, and it's such a different story in my mind because I think
It's 70s, isn't it? Where the film's set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we meet Tony in The Sopranos, he's already this kind of like calloused.
He's cooked.
Yeah.
He's already had all this stuff happen to him.
And so there's the traumas already there, and there's those blocks already there. And I
Sure.
find the breaking down of those blocks really interesting throughout the series. But I think it was so interesting to see the younger version, and you see how those blocks are made and you see how those calluses are formed. So I think he does a really good job at that. But it
Right.
is an innocent portrayal of that.
Yeah.
So it's painting Tony in a very good light. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Now, while preparing to play Tony Soprano in 2021, Michael would walk around and listen to hours of his father's dialogue, Jesse. Watching his father play the character, he was also, he said it was a powerful experience.
Oh my God, yeah. So I've got this quote from him. He starts singing and then he starts crying and then he gets mad at himself because he's crying and then he laughs at himself. He literally spans like 4 emotions in the matter of 40 seconds and they're all so grounded and I remember being blown away by him. That's just like the psychology of listening to your father's work for your job when your father's passed away. It's just, there's so many layers. I couldn't comprehend it. Like,
I wonder how this was for him emotionally though, you know, like watching that, knowing that his father is no longer there and like, it's just a lot of layers.
It's almost like I feel like it was the right choice.
Yes.
But I feel like sort of, not to sound like clickbait, but like at what cost? Do you know what I
No,
mean?
I think
like,
so. I think you'd really need to, like, as a producer or as a director, be concerned for his health. Like, I would be very hesitant to put someone in this role knowing what had happened to him.
Yeah.
He found the body, Jesse.
It's not like
that's
his dad.
cooked.
If his dad was like, you know, playing Danny in Grease, you'd be like, oh, a great role to reprise. It's going to be fun.
Not a problem.
This
No
is
trauma there.
Yeah, this is a really, you know, fully fledged, multi-dimensional character full of like violence and hatred and yeah, good on him.
And like stunted emotions that you are burying deep to be able to access those areas, you know? Like I honestly think, and I know we're talking about like 20 years, but like I think it might have been too soon, honestly.
Yeah, huge undertaking, I think, for any young actor.
Yeah.
The weight of that role, but to have the added dimension of it being your father is just like, it's something else.
Yeah. Michael did say to the New York Times ahead of the role that he felt a certain degree of pressure about taking on the part, Jesse.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a quote from here saying there's fear, but the second layer that a lot of people don't think about, which is actually harder, is to play Tony Soprano. Not only was it the feeling of my dad, it was like Tony Soprano is a fucking hard character.
100%.
Yeah.
I think the more we talk about it, the more
Yes.
I'm like, wow.
I'm
like,
getting nervous like I have to play him soon.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, how am I going to do this? How am I
So
going to reprise
complicated.
my dead dad's role?
Yeah.
Do you reckon you could do like a week of doing your dad's job?
My dad's like a geotechnical engineer. I don't have the brain for that. I'm a podcaster, Jesse. I'm not a mathematician. So
the weight,
absolutely
the
not.
expectation, the pressure.
Can't do it. Well, don't worry, Jesse. I won't make you do it. We are going to move on to the next phase of Michael's life and talk about life beyond The Sopranos in a phase we're calling Beyond Mob Life. Now, Michael has a full plate now with several acting credits to his name. The Offer in 2022 is a mini-series that he was in based off the making of The Godfather, Jesse.
I've seen it.
Have
I
you?
loved it.
I
Yeah,
haven't.
It was so good. I can't remember what streaming service it was on, but I got myself into a hole. I felt like I was on the pokies. It was like I hadn't paid for the whole series. I just kept paying for the episodes. I was
like on YouTube, and
that'll
it's like
do.
$2.99.
Oh, why did I do it? But you know what? I'd pay again because it was so good.
Oh, I want to watch it now.
Fantastic.
Oh my God.
I also love that this is beyond mob life, and it's like, and we're back.
Well,
with
I
The
mean,
Godfather.
it's meant to be beyond, but Godfather,
Yeah.
keep it in there,
The
you
apple
know?
doesn't fall far. But no, it's an incredible like making of, and because you and I nerds like that, like watching a movie about a movie being made, it's
Love it.
delicious.
I love
it's like
it.
stacking 2 lasagnas on top of each other. It's just lasagna. Like it's so good. You should really
So
watch
much
it.
cheese.
It's
so
phenomenal.
good. He did The Cat Person in 2023, Jesse. Now, this was based on the viral 2017 short story in the New York Times.
Okay, this is going to sound like SponCon, but this short story needs to be like in everyone's like, I don't know, HSC. It's so good.
Okay.
I loved it. It's all about like power dynamics between men and women. It was, so 2017, and that was, you know, obviously before like Reels and TikToks and stuff. And it's kind of like a really edgy, dark take on situationships.
Ooh.
I'm not stealing enough, but like, please read it. I'll link it to you.
Let's pop it in the show notes.
Oh my
Why
God,
not?
let's put it in the show notes. It's fantastic.
Now, I'm not sure how to pronounce her surname, so just tell me what the author of that one was,
So
Jessie.
it's Kristen Rupinian.
Rupinian.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, moving on to his next role in 2023. Now, this is one of my favorites, Jessie, so
Okay,
I do
go
not
on.
want to
This is your turn
undersell
to sell.
this. This is it. Beau is Afraid. This was with Joaquin Phoenix. Amazing.
Really?
Amazing film.
Scary?
No, I wouldn't say scary.
Okay.
It's like a thriller for sure.
Well, A24, so.
A24, yeah. But it's like a 3-hour film and it's complicated and it's depressing and I
Okay.
feel anxious the whole time. It's
Sign me up.
It's about Joaquin Phoenix in this, who plays the main character, has like a mood disorder. So he we assume a lot of anxiety. We assume a little bit of like bipolar,
Okay.
potentially.
Is
We're
Michael
not sure.
on the poster?
Michael is the young boy on the poster.
Yeah. He is.
So it's very interesting, but he did a brilliant job. And once again, very similar to like the Tony Soprano. You see him as a younger character, right? So you
Yeah.
see the trauma that he goes through,
Yeah.
what made him what he was kind of thing. And then, throughout the film, you sort of get that development from the character and it's like stunning and also like you want to throw up.
I cannot wait. What a pull quote.
Take that out for the pod.
Yeah. No, leave it in.
He did Bob Marley One Love in 2024, Jessie. Here we are,
nice. So coming
2024.
out. We made
I
it.
must see that. It's in cinemas now, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Perhaps not when this pod comes out.
TBC.
He did Daredevil in 2025, or he will do Daredevil in 2025. That is still, I think, in post-production.
Okay.
Obviously, you've made it when you're in a superhero movie, Jessie.
Oh my God. Anything with a lycra suit, you've done it.
Sign me up.
Done it.
I mean, pretty cool. It looks like it's a big budget on that one. And like from what I've read online, a lot of like interconnecting stories in like the Marvel universe.
Oh my God. I'd have to Google it. I don't know. I get
Marvel
really
question mark?
intimidated by all that.
Yeah, it does terrify me a bit.
Yeah. It's like a giant family reunion and I don't know who's cousins with who.
Yeah, I'm definitely not in the family at all. I'm like
No. I appreciate
friend.
it from afar. There's too many explosions. Yeah.
people always fighting. It's so confusing. Well, we have reached the end of our Michael Gandolfini episode, Jessie. Welcome to Nepobaby, Michael Gandolfini. So good to have you here. Would you like to discuss your thoughts, Jessie?
I think the reason I wanted to do him is because it's not so much a question, I think, for me of nepotism. It's this whole other angle of like stepping into the shoes of your father in his job after his death. It's just like
So literal.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways, I'm just breaking this set, punching the mic. You can tell
We're
I'm
not used to being in nice places.
I'm not used to a fancy place. But it's in a way kind of similar to when we did Robert Irwin.
Yeah.
But I think the other aspect of that is that, Michael isn't smiling with a snake on his shoulders. He's having to like entrench himself in this really dark character that's also a part of his father's legacy. So have a lot of love for him. I feel like, I don't know, not to get like woo-woo, but I think it's really noble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think he wouldn't have done this unless he was really serious about it.
Yes, I think so.
Because it's too big.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean?
yes.
It's not taking over Dad's Marvel franchise. It's not taking
No.
over Spider-Man. It's like
No.
it's much more complicated and much more nuanced than that. And I think he did a really great job. So
Yeah.
I really liked him. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at nepobaby_podcast. And do us a favor, please share Nepobaby on your story. We'd really appreciate it. My name is Mon.
I'm Jessie.
And this is Nepobaby.